Imagine growing a thriving vegetable garden with less effort and more results. Well, indigenous tribes have been doing it for centuries. They have mastered the art of gardening with clever, sustainable hacks that have stood the test of time. Here are 20 vegetable gardening hacks you'll wish you knew sooner. 1. Fish head fertilizer. Want your garden to thrive like never before? Bury those fish heads. This age-old technique from coastal tribes isn't just clever recycling, it's garden gold. When you plant your seedlings, dig a hole about 4 to 6 inches deeper than needed. Drop in a fish head. Cover it with an inch or two of soil, then plant as usual. Those decomposing fish parts slowly release a feast of nitrogen, phosphorus, calcium, and trace minerals directly to your hungry plant roots over weeks, not days like standard fertilizers. Your plants won't just grow, they will flourish with this slow-release superfood beneath them. The fish heads break down gradually, feeding your plants precisely when they need it most. Plus, you're keeping fish waste out of landfills and mimicking nature's own recycling system. Tomatoes, peppers, and leafy greens especially love this fishy boost. The only downside? You might attract curious neighborhood cats until the soil settles, so tamp it down well. And don't worry about the smell. Once buried properly, your garden will stay fresh while your plants grow lush and strong. 2. The 3-year soil building method. Building amazing garden soil isn't an overnight miracle. It's a 3-year journey that transforms even the poorest dirt into black gold. Year 1, focus on breaking up compacted earth and adding organic matter. Spread a thick layer of compost, aged manure, and shredded leaves over your beds. Then use a garden fork to gently work it into the top few inches. Plant heavy feeders like tomatoes and squash that can muscle their way through less than perfect conditions, while their roots help break up the soil further. By year 2, you will switch to crops that give back: beans, peas, and other legumes that pull nitrogen from the air and store it in little root nodules. When you cut these plants down, they release this nitrogen boost to feed next season's plants. Year 3 brings the payoff. Your soil now hosts a thriving community of worms, beneficial bacteria, and fungi, creating the perfect spongy, nutrient-rich environment for anything you want to grow. This patient approach means less work and expense down the road. No more fighting poor soil, fewer pests, and plants that practically take care of themselves. 3rd, terracing. Hillside gardening doesn't have to mean watching your soil and seeds wash away with every rain. Take a page from Andean farmers who conquered steep slopes centuries ago by cutting them into stair-step terraces. Start at the bottom of your slope and work upward, digging into the hill to create flat planting areas supported by walls of stone, wood, or even tightly packed soil. Each level catches water that would otherwise rush downhill, giving your plants time to drink deeply before the excess gently spills to the next level down. These garden steps do more than stop erosion. They create microclimates that extend your growing options. The walls absorb heat during the day and release it at night, protecting tender plants from temperature swings. South-facing terrace walls reflect extra light and warmth to sun-loving crops like peppers and eggplants, while north-facing sections stay cooler for lettuce and spinach, even in summer heat. Plus, the different levels make planting, weeding, and harvesting easier on your back and knees. No more awkward hillside balancing acts just to pick a tomato. 4. Biochar. The ancient Amazonians had a soil secret that modern gardeners are just rediscovering. Biochar, the magic ingredient behind their famously fertile terra preta, or black earth. Unlike regular compost, biochar is plant material like wood chips or corn stalks burned slowly with minimal oxygen, creating a charcoal-like substance that's mostly carbon. This isn't your barbecue charcoal. Biochar is full of tiny holes that create a microscopic apartment complex for beneficial soil bacteria and fungi, while holding water and nutrients that would otherwise wash away. A handful of biochar mixed into your garden soil works for years, not just a single growing season. Its porous structure creates underground reservoirs that release water slowly during dry spells and drain excess moisture during heavy rains. Plants respond with stronger root systems and better resistance to disease. Even better, this carbon stays locked in your soil for centuries instead of returning to the atmosphere, making your garden part of the climate solution. Start with small amounts, about 10% biochar to 90% soil, and watch how your plants respond with deeper colour and more vigorous growth year after year. 5. Living fences. Forget spending hundreds on wooden fences that eventually rot or metal ones that rust. Indigenous gardeners knew that the best garden barriers grow themselves. Living fences use densely planted shrubs, trees, or sturdy perennials to create boundaries that get stronger and more beautiful with each passing year. Start with fast-growing options like privet, willow, or berry bushes planted in a tight row. During the first year or two, weave the flexible new branches horizontally through their neighbours as they grow to create an interwoven living wall. These green guardians offer benefits no hardware store fence can match. They filter dust and noise while creating habitat for beneficial insects and birds that help control garden pests. Many living fence plants do double duty, providing berries, flowers for cutting, or branches for basket weaving. The deep roots prevent erosion around your garden edges and stand firm against wind that would topple manufactured fencing. As temperatures rise in summer, these leafy barriers create cool, sheltered microclimates where tender plants thrive. Even in winter, the branch structure breaks harsh winds while allowing just enough airflow to prevent frost pockets from forming. 6. Tobacco tea spray. When garden pests threaten to turn your prized vegetables into their personal buffet, reach for this powerful plant-based solution instead of harsh chemicals. Tobacco tea spray harnesses the natural insecticidal properties of tobacco to knock back aphids, thrips, and other soft-bodied pests without harm to most beneficial insects. Take a quarter cup of loose pipe tobacco, not cigarettes, which contain additives, and steep it overnight in a gallon of warm water until the liquid turns the colour of strong tea. Strain out the plant material, add a few drops of mild dish soap to help it stick to leaf surfaces, and pour into a spray bottle. This potent brew works through direct contact, so spray in the early morning or late evening when beneficial insects are less active, and make sure to coat both top and bottom leaf surfaces where pests hide. The nicotine compounds disrupt the nervous systems of many common garden pests while breaking down naturally within days. One caution: never use this spray on tomatoes, peppers, eggplants or potatoes, as these tobacco relatives can catch mosaic virus from the spray. For everything else, this old-time remedy saves pollinators while sending destructive bugs packing. Store any leftover spray in a clearly labelled container away from children and pets, and wash your hands thoroughly after application. 7. Mulching with natural materials. Nature doesn't leave soil bare, and neither should gardeners. Indigenous growers worldwide use local plant materials to cover and protect their garden soil, creating what we now call mulch. This protective blanket of leaves, grass clippings, straw or bark does far more than just look tidy. A 2 to 3 inch layer dramatically reduces watering needs by slowing evaporation, sometimes cutting your irrigation requirements in half during hot months. It also blocks sunlight from reaching weed seeds, stopping them before they start while moderating soil temperature, keeping roots cooler in summer and warmer during spring and fall temperature swings. As natural mulches break down, they continuously feed soil life and improve structure in a way synthetic covers never can. Earthworms pull decomposing mulch particles downward, creating channels for water and air while mixing organic matter deep into your soil. Each type of mulch brings different benefits. Straw keeps strawberries clean and slug-free. Pine needles increase soil acidity for blueberries and other acid-loving plants, while shredded leaves add minerals and beneficial fungi. For vegetable gardens, choose materials that decompose within a season. like grass clippings or leaf mould, which disappear just in time for next year's planting without tying up soil nitrogen during breakdown. 8. Pest repellent plants. Smart gardeners use plants themselves as the first line of defence against unwanted insects. Many herbs and flowers naturally produce scent compounds that confuse or repel common pests while attracting the beneficial predators that hunt them. Plant aromatic borders of garlic, onions or chives around vulnerable crops. Their sulfur compounds mask the scent trails that cabbage moths and carrot flies follow to find their favourite meals. Tuck strongly scented herbs like basil next to tomatoes, where they disguise the tomato smell that normally draws hornworms, while improving tomato flavour through companion planting. This botanical security system works through multiple senses. Marigolds release compounds through their roots that repel nematodes and other soil pests, creating a protective zone that extends beyond their own footprint. Nasturtiums act as trap crops, drawing aphids away from your vegetables onto themselves, where they are more easily spotted and treated. Even the vibrant colours of flowers, like calendula and sunflowers, play a role by attracting pollinators and predatory insects that hunt garden pests. Unlike chemical controls that create resistant superbugs over time, this diverse plant community creates balance, allowing enough pests to sustain beneficial insect populations without overwhelming your food crops. 9. Coffee grounds. As nitrogen booster, don't toss those morning coffee grounds. They are plant superfood in disguise. Used coffee grounds deliver a gentle nitrogen kick that leafy greens and nitrogen-hungry vegetables like corn absolutely love. Unlike harsh chemical fertilizers that can burn tender roots, coffee grounds release their nutrients slowly as soil microbes break them down. Sprinkle a thin layer around plants, scratch it lightly into the surface, and water well. The dark color of the grounds absorbs sunlight, warming soil in early spring when heat-loving crops need it most. Coffee grounds work double duty in your garden by improving soil structure while feeding plants. Their granular texture helps break up clay soils and creates pockets for air and water, especially important for root vegetables that need loose soil to develop properly. Many gardeners report fewer problems with slugs and snails when coffee grounds surround vulnerable plants. The abrasive particles irritate their soft bodies, creating a protective ring. For acid-loving plants like blueberries, azaleas and rhododendrons, coffee grounds are particularly valuable, providing both nitrogen and a gentle pH shift. Don't have enough grounds from your own pot. Make friends with local coffee shops, many of which will gladly save their used grounds for gardeners rather than sending them to landfills. 10th, flood irrigation channels. The ancient Hohokam people of the southwest turned desert into farmland using nothing but carefully planned ditches and gravity, a system modern gardeners can adapt even for small spaces. Flood irrigation channels bring water directly to plant roots with minimal waste and effort. Start by arranging your garden beds with slight depressions around plants or shallow channels between rows. When it's watering time, simply fill these channels from your water source and let gravity carry moisture through the garden, soaking deeply into the root zone instead of evaporating from the surface. This method delivers more than just efficiency. It encourages deep root growth as plants reach downward for moisture rather than developing shallow roots dependent on frequent watering. The channels themselves become habitat for frogs and beneficial insects that control garden pests. In rainy seasons, these same pathways capture and direct natural rainfall, preventing puddles around delicate stems where fungal diseases often start. For raised beds, create a central channel down the middle with plant rows slightly elevated on either side. During dry spells, flood the channel once or twice weekly rather than daily shallow watering. Your plants will develop drought resilience while requiring less attention. Add small gates of stone or wood where channels meet to control water flow, allowing you to irrigate one section at a time for perfect moisture control. 11th, Wood ash soil amendment. Those fireplace ashes you have been throwing away might be exactly what your garden needs. Wood ash works as a fast-acting lime substitute that sweetens acidic soil while adding valuable minerals like potassium, calcium, and magnesium that vegetables crave. Unlike store-bought amendments, wood ash is already broken down and immediately available to plants. A light dusting, just enough to barely cover the soil surface, worked into your beds before planting can raise soil pH by half a point or more, perfect for vegetables like asparagus, beans, and garlic that prefer slightly alkaline conditions. For established plants, sprinkle a thin layer around but not touching stems and water well so the nutrients reach the root zone. The benefits extend beyond pH adjustment. Wood ash naturally repels slugs and snails because the sharp ash particles damage their soft bodies when they try to cross it. The potassium in ash strengthens cell walls in your plants, making them more resistant to both disease and frost damage. Onions and root vegetables develop better flavour and longer storage life when grown in ash-amended soil. Just be careful not to overdo it. Too much can make soil excessively alkaline and interfere with nutrient uptake. Never use ashes from treated wood, glossy paper, or trash fires, which may contain harmful chemicals. Save your sprinklings for outside the garden beds when growing acid-loving plants like blueberries, potatoes, or most berries. With proper application, this free byproduct of winter warmth becomes a summer bounty in your vegetable patch. 12th, hand pollination techniques. When bees and other pollinators are scarce, take matters into your own hands, literally. Hand pollination isn't just a backup plan. It often produces better fruit set than nature alone. For plants with separate male and female flowers like squash, melons and corn, the process mimics insect activity with remarkable results. Start early in the morning when flowers are fully open, but pollen is still fresh. For squash family plants, identify male flowers. They have straight stems with no baby fruit behind them, and pick one, carefully removing the petals to expose the pollen-covered centre. Gently touch or roll this natural paintbrush against the stigma, the sticky centre part of female flowers, identified by the tiny fruit forming at the base, and you've just completed nature's most essential partnership. This intimate connection with your plants offers benefits beyond just ensuring fruit production. Hand pollination allows you to control cross-pollination in plants like cucumbers, where varieties grown too close together can produce bitter offspring. For corn, shake tassels over developing silk when both are ready. The fine yellow dust that falls is carrying genetic material that will transform each strand of silk into a kernel. Some gardeners use small artist brushes or cotton swabs for delicate flowers like peppers and eggplants, gently brushing from flower to flower to distribute pollen. The practice also helps you identify plants with poor flower formation or pollen production, allowing you to select the best performers for saving seeds. While it takes a bit more time than leaving everything to chance, the dramatically improved yields, often doubling or tripling normal production, make the morning ritual well worth your effort. 13. Hay bale mini greenhouses. Forget expensive greenhouse structures. Those rectangular hay bales stacked at farm supply stores hold the secret to extending your growing season by weeks on either end. Create instant raised beds by arranging bales in a rectangle, leaving the middle open as a pathway. Soak the bales thoroughly with water for several days, then sprinkle high nitrogen fertilizer or blood meal on top and water again. As the hay begins to decompose, it creates gentle bottom heat, exactly what seeds need to germinate in cool spring weather. After the bales have cooked for about 2 weeks, pull apart the top slightly and fill the resulting pockets with compost or potting soil. Then plant directly into these natural containers. The decomposing hay provides both nutrients and warming insulation for tender roots. For an even more powerful season extender, place metal or plastic hoops over your hay bale beds and cover with clear plastic sheeting, creating a tunnel of warmth that captures solar energy during the day and releases it slowly at night. This mini greenhouse effect protects plants from late spring frosts or early fall freezes, often allowing you to harvest weeks after your neighbours' gardens have succumbed to cold. As an added bonus, the bales gradually break down into rich compost for next season's garden. The elevated planting height means less bending and kneeling for you, while the thick bales block weeds from growing through. Watering is simplified too. Hay holds moisture like a sponge, reducing how often you need to irrigate. For best results, choose straw bales over hay when possible, as hay often contains seeds that might sprout in your growing area. After a season or two of use, the partially decomposed bales make perfect material for traditional compost piles, or can be spread directly on garden beds as rich organic matter. 14th, use of clay pots. Buried clay pots might be the oldest drip irrigation system in the world, and they are still one of the best ways to deliver water directly to plant roots with minimal waste. These unglazed porous vessels, known as ollas, slowly weep moisture into surrounding soil as plants need it, maintaining perfect soil moisture with no technology or moving parts. Bury standard terracotta pots up to their necks in garden beds, leaving just the opening visible, then plant your vegetables in a circle around them. Fill the pots with water every few days, covering the openings with rocks or pot saucers to prevent evaporation and keep out mosquitoes. As soil dries, the slight pressure difference pulls water through the clay walls, exactly where roots can access it. The magic of ollas lies in their responsiveness to actual plant needs. During cool, cloudy periods when plants use less water, the seepage slows naturally. On hot days when roots are actively drawing moisture, the flow increases. This self-regulating system develops healthier plants with deeper roots while using up to 70% less water than surface irrigation. Plants grown with ollas show fewer disease problems since leaves and stems stay dry, eliminating the humid conditions that foster fungal issues. The consistent moisture prevents stress-related problems like blossom end rot in tomatoes and cracking in root vegetables. Modern gardeners can purchase purpose-made ollas, but traditional clay flower pots with the drainage holes plugged using silicone cork work almost as well. For larger garden areas, bury several pots in a grid pattern about 2 to 3 feet apart, connecting them with plastic tubing at the rim if you want to fill multiple containers from a single point. The only maintenance needed is occasionally scrubbing out mineral deposits that build up over time, keeping the porous walls functioning properly. 15th, polyculture rows. Nature never plants in tidy single-species rows, and the most resilient gardens don't either. Polyculture, growing multiple crop types together, mimics natural plant communities to create gardens that practically take care of themselves. Start by replacing long single crop rows with mixed plantings of compatible vegetables, herbs, and flowers. The classic Native American Three Sisters combination demonstrates this perfectly. Corn stalks provide natural trellises for climbing beans, which in turn fix nitrogen from the air to feed hungry corn, while low-growing squash leaves shade the soil and deter pests with prickly stems. This interplanting approach maximizes space while each plant contributes something valuable to its neighbors. Polyculture creates natural shields against common garden problems. When pest insects find their target plant surrounded by others with different scents and appearances, they become confused and have trouble locating their preferred food source. If some plants do suffer damage, the diversity ensures your whole harvest isn't lost. The varied root structures of different plants access water and nutrients at different soil depths, reducing competition while fully utilizing available resources. Flowering herbs and vegetables bloom at different times, providing continuous nectar for beneficial insects that control pests. Even soil health improves as diverse plant roots create channels and secrete different compounds that feed varied soil microorganisms. The result is a garden that produces more food per square foot than separate rows, while requiring less intervention from you. For beginners, try simple combinations like carrots and onions or tomatoes interplanted with basil. As you gain confidence, expand to 3 or 4 compatible plants per bed, creating garden communities that work together just as nature intended. 16th, diatomaceous earth barriers. This powder, made from the fossilized remains of tiny aquatic organisms, offers chemical-free pest control that targets problem insects while leaving beneficial ones largely unharmed. Diatomaceous earth works physically rather than chemically. Its particles have microscopic sharp edges that cut through the waxy outer layer of insects' exoskeletons, causing them to dehydrate and die. Unlike pesticides that can harm beneficial insects, pets, and children, food-grade DE affects primarily soft-bodied crawling pests like slugs, snails, aphids, and many beetles. Apply a thin ring around vulnerable plants or across known insect pathways when soil is dry. The powder remains effective until washed away by rain or irrigation, at which point simply reapply. Beyond barrier protection, diatomaceous earth serves multiple garden purposes. Work it into the top inch of soil to control soil-dwelling pests like fungus gnats and root maggots without harming earthworms, which have different body structures. Many gardeners add small amounts to compost bins to speed decomposition and reduce odours by balancing moisture levels. The silicon content in DE strengthens plant cell walls when absorbed through roots, increasing resistance to both pests and diseases. For stored harvest, dusting root vegetables or dried beans with food-grade DE prevents insect damage during winter storage. Just be careful during application. While completely non-toxic, the fine powder can irritate lungs if inhaled in quantity. Apply on calm days, wearing a dust mask and keeping pets and children away until the dust settles. Use only food-grade varieties in the garden, not the stronger swimming pool filter grade, which contains crystalline silica that can harm lungs. Proper application creates an insect barrier that works 24/7 without introducing chemicals into your food-growing environment. 17. Natural trellises. Skip the hardware store and look to nature for the best plant supports. Natural trellises made from found materials not only save money, but also create garden structures that blend harmoniously with your plants. Start with pruned tree branches, especially those with multiple forks, pushed into the ground around climbing plants like peas, beans, and cucumbers. As plants grow, they weave through the branches naturally, creating stronger stems and better air circulation than when climbing string or netting. Sunflowers planted early provide living trellises for later crops. Their strong stalks support lighter climbers, while their broad leaves offer dappled shade for heat-sensitive plants in summer's peak. These natural supports bring benefits beyond simple functionality. Branch trellises develop beautiful organic shapes as plants grow through them, turning productive space into visual art. The uneven surfaces and multiple attachment points allow vines to twist and turn naturally, reducing stem damage common with manufactured supports. Weather-worn wood gradually releases minerals into soil as it breaks down, while the textured surfaces provide habitat for beneficial insects like lacewings and ladybugs that control garden pests. For larger structures, create teepee shapes with long branches tied together at the top, ideal for pole beans or ornamental flowering climbers like morning glories. Even invasive plants can be put to good use. Thick bamboo canes or sturdy vines like wisteria can be harvested, dried, and woven into beautiful structural elements that stand for several seasons before returning to the soil. The result is a garden that looks as though it grew entirely on its own, with climbing plants reaching their full potential while you save money and reduce waste. 18th, observation-based timing. Throw away the calendar and tune into nature's perfect timing system. Indigenous gardeners knew that plants respond to environmental conditions, not dates on a page. Instead of planting by the same day each year, watch for natural cues that signal when soil and air temperatures are right for each crop. When oak leaves reach the size of squirrel ears, soil is warm enough for corn. When dandelions bloom in profusion, it's time to set out cold-tolerant greens like spinach and lettuce. These phenological indicators, tracking one seasonal event to predict another, work better than rigid schedules because they adjust automatically to early or late springs, unusual weather patterns, and your specific microclimate. These natural signals extend beyond planting times to all aspects of garden care. When lilacs bloom, the soil has warmed enough that apple trees need protection from borers. Cicada songs signal the time to plant fall crops like carrots and beets for winter harvest. Even pest control follows natural timing. Tent caterpillars emerge when redbud trees flower, so that's when to start looking for egg cases to remove. By connecting garden tasks to observable events in your specific location, you create a personalised schedule that automatically adjusts for climate change and weird weather years. Start a simple journal noting when certain wild plants bloom, when migratory birds return, and when weather patterns shift in your area. After a few seasons, you will develop an intuitive understanding of your local ecosystem's rhythms that no store-bought garden guide can match. These observation-based timing systems build resilience into your garden planning while connecting you more deeply to the natural cycles that ultimately determine growing success. 19. Smoke-based pest control. Long before commercial insecticides, South American tribes discovered that specific smouldering herbs could drive away garden pests without harming plants or beneficial insects. This smoke-based pest control works through several mechanisms. The aromatic compounds in herbs, like sage, rosemary, and cinnamon bark, naturally repel many problem insects, while the particulate matter in smoke physically irritates others, causing them to flee the area. To use this method, place small bundles of dried herbs on flat stones or in terracotta saucers positioned around your garden's perimeter. Light them just enough to smoulder and produce smoke rather than flame, preferably in the early morning when pests are active, but beneficial insects like bees aren't yet foraging. The beauty of smoke treatments lies in their selectivity and temporary nature. Unlike chemical sprays that can persist for days, smoke effects dissipate within hours, leaving no harmful residues on edible plants. The method works especially well for driving away mosquitoes, aphids, whiteflies, and many beetles, while having minimal impact on larger beneficial insects that can simply fly away temporarily. For evening garden pests, burning cinnamon sticks or citrus peels creates a protective smoke barrier that discourages night-flying moths from laying eggs on vegetable plants. Some gardeners enhance effectiveness by creating smudge pots, small containers with tight-fitting lids and several holes punched in the sides. Fill these with smouldering herbs, and they will release protective smoke for hours while you're away. The method requires no special equipment, uses renewable resources, and connects modern gardeners to ancient wisdom that protected crops for centuries before synthetic chemicals existed. As an added benefit, many people find the aromatic smoke pleasant, making garden work more enjoyable while simultaneously protecting plants. 20. In-ground storage pits. Before refrigeration, indigenous gardeners developed ingenious ways to preserve harvest bounty through winter months. In-ground storage pits, sometimes called clamps, use Earth's natural insulation properties to keep root vegetables and hardy fruits fresh for months, without electricity or processing. To create your own, dig a pit in well-drained soil about 2 to 3 feet deep and as wide as needed for your harvest. Line the bottom with a thick layer of dry straw or pine needles for drainage, then carefully arrange vegetables like carrots, beets, turnips, and winter radishes in layers, placing like with like, and making sure none touch each other. Cover each layer with more straw before adding the next level of vegetables. Complete the pit with a thick top layer of insulating material followed by a rain shedding cover of wide boards or metal roofing material. These natural cold storage units maintain temperatures between 32 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit, ideal for preserving root vegetables, while protecting contents from freezing even in harsh winters. The surrounding soil releases moisture slowly, maintaining perfect humidity levels that prevent both rotting and shriveling. For best results, create several smaller pits rather than one large one, so you can open them sequentially through winter without disturbing all stored vegetables at once. Mark each pit's contents and location with sturdy stakes that will remain visible even after snow. Some gardeners incorporate access tunnels made of boards or thick cardboard tubes that allow retrieval of small amounts without opening the entire pit. The method works best for storage varieties specifically bred for keeping qualities. Look for terms like storage or keeper in seed catalogues when planning your garden. Beyond the practical benefits, there's something deeply satisfying about retrieving garden fresh vegetables from beneath the frozen ground when snow covers the landscape, connecting modern households to the sustainable food traditions that sustained communities for thousands of years before modern storage methods existed. Are you going to try these hacks? Let us know in the comments section. For more insightful videos like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button.